let's say anytime you talk about consciousness, you have your eraser? Anytime you talk about consciousness, you want to go back to the 7 major chakras, right? Because why? Why we want to do that? It's states of consciousness, yes. So that's why you want to, everything relates back to these vortex centers. Right? And we know what they are. You have the sex, not the sex. You have the base, right? You have the sex. You have the solar plexus. You have the heart. You have the throat. And you have the Christ center, which is the Anjana or third eye. You have the crown. All right? So we talk about this in the Constitution of Man when I talk about you, because when I explain that to you, that you have, this represents the spirit, right? Manifests through the soul, the crown chakra, right? And what happens is that this endless potential is manifested from this point, and it goes down. And the more it goes down, the more solid or manifested it becomes. Okay? And in solid, you have what? In solid objects, you have what? Form. You have form, but in order for solid objects to have form, you have a lot of activity. Right? Mm-hmm. Scientists tell us that. Right? Because why? You have the atomic structure. First, you have the subatomic particles. You have the atom, the atomic structure. Then from there, you move to molecules, and you move to cellular structure. Then you move to systems, right? Tissue, and then systems. So you have layers and layers and layers and layers of activity. So that creates the static. That creates the motion, the activity, the movement, right? And that's what caused what? Did I say that right? The what? Yeah, that's what caused that, all that activity. Because why? It becomes out of sync because of what? Because of karma. Right? Mm-hmm. Why? Because of karma. Anyone knows? Huh?
It's our karma to experience that
because as we move down, right? Let's look at it like this. If you guys want to, yeah, because it'll be a minute before we do it. I'll put it up. Let's say if we look at it like this. Let's look at the crown chakra, right? The crown chakra is the background of everything. Why do I say that? Anyone know why I say that?
Because it's connected to the spirit.
What?
Because it's connected to the spirit.
It's connected to the spirit or the soul, because the spirit is really unmanifested, but the soul is manifested for what? As the body or that thing that the spirit does what? Works through, right? So the crown chakra creates, in other words, the crown chakra creates the chalkboard, which is what? The chalkboard represents what? Potential, endless potential, right? Because you can draw anything on the chalkboard. The spirit, like Patrick said, represents what? Endless potential, right? So everything can go here, okay? So the crown chakra is that background to everything. And then the crown chakra gives life to what? The command center, the Christ center, right? The Christ chakra. Then the Christ chakra does what? It becomes the background, right? For everything that comes after it. You see? And it produces what? The throat, right? And the heart, right? And the heart chakra becomes what? The background for what? The lower centers. The solar, right? The sex, and the throat. I say the throat, and the sex center.
So the heart center is the background for all three lower realms?
Yeah.
Three lower, okay.
Now, we know that here up is what? Consider what type of consciousness? Or realms? The higher realms, right? This is the higher realms here. Therefore, is what? If it's the higher realms, it's also the higher what? Higher states of consciousness. Okay? Now, the more you go up, the less activity is here. Why is that?
Because you were trained to potential to that.
Huh?
You were trained more to that state of potential.
No, not necessarily. We talked about this a long time ago. Enlightenment is what?
One point of focus.
Huh?
One point of focus.
Sort of, yeah, but it's more than that. What?
Does it
What-
mean at that point that a lot of the karmic pattern has been worked out?
No, what did the 9 freedoms teach us about enlightenment? A basic rule. Enlightenment is what? When you're enlightened, you do what? It's sort of what Patrick just said, but Dr. King said,
Best thing that should be done.
huh? No.
I mean, like, given time, you're doing the one most important thing you should be doing at that time.
Anybody want to finish it? Huh? You predetermine all your actions. Why do you predetermine all your actions? Understanding of the law. You understand the law of karma. So the more enlightened you become, the more, like Patrick said, you become focused, right? But the better way to say it is what Dr. King said in Mars Sector 6, is that you predetermine all your actions. Why you predetermine all your actions is because you understand that it is an energy source from a higher source, from this endless potential of what? From spirit and soul. So you manage this sacred energy that they give you by predetermining all your actions. Because why? You want to make favorable reactions to all your actions, right? So that's what enlightenment does for you. When you raise your consciousness, there's less activity up here, right? Because why? There's not a lot of chatter. Because why? You don't walk around in an aimless state of consciousness. You predetermine all your moves in order to do what? In order to bring the proper resorts that's needed for all life around you. You know, they look at the, the unenlightened man would go and look at a planet and say, I don't want to be a planet because the only thing they do is circle the sun, you know. But that planet encircling the sun does what? It serves billions upon billions of life streams, right? It live out a divine purpose. So it's just not circling the sun, it's giving life, it's cherishing life, it's bringing about billions of lives on many, many realms of existence. But it moves methodically. It moves in a grace-like fashion, right? The same thing with the sun. So I don't want to be a sun. I mean, you know, it's sitting in one place and is have all these planets orbiting around it, and it's pushing these planets through the galaxy. That's even if they understand that, you know. But they say, what a boring life. But at the same time, it's serving the solar system. It's serving many, many, many realms of existence, and it's giving life to the galaxy itself. So the more your consciousness raised to a higher level, the less activity happens, but all your actions are predetermined in order to bring about the proper results. So that's the thing about consciousness, or what I know he said it in a difficult way, of what the Arthur Avalon was trying to talk about here. But as you move upwards, you need less and less layers of form. In other words, when you get to the realms that feed off of the Christ center and the crown center, or even the throat center, you don't need a gross physical body like this body. You really don't need that all the time. You can do without that. Your conscious / unconscious mind is absorbed into the superconscious mind, where there's no, you don't have that background chatter or that the varieties, the modifications that the Swami Patanjali spoke about so many thousands of years ago. You don't have that anymore. Because why? That part of your mind is absorbed into the superconscious mind because you have a superconscious state of awareness. So you don't have to have this conscious, unconscious state that makes all this noise and conflict among itself. You don't need that anymore. Because why? Because the Gnostic pathways are balanced and in sync. See? So therefore, when you need to vibrate to a lower physical plane, then you just vibrate it with a specific purpose of doing a particular job, and then that's it, it's over with. Then you move back up to the state in which you need to be at. So that's the difference between this state of consciousness and this state of consciousness. Okay?
And at the base, in so much as at the base contains elements from all the other
Yes.
centers.
Yeah, there's residue.
Mm-hmm. But I just showed you how that's possible.
Right.
This becomes the background for everything. This becomes the background for everything as well, right? But when you get to the heart chakra actually extends itself as the base. I mean, as the background for everything there. And then, of course, when you go to the animal stage, right, in the animal chakras, right, the base becomes the background. The base becomes the background for all seven chakras, all major 7 chakras in the bottom, in the legs, okay? But still, you have the crown and the Christ still, there. But it's so distant and so far, but yet it still gives the guiding hands to the base. I mean, to the lower chakras of the animal stage, because at that point you had the Tattvic kingdom that helps supplement self-consciousness for the animal kingdom. But the Tattvic kingdom works through what? Anyone? Huh? It works according to karma, but it works through what?
What was the question?
The Tattvic kingdom works through what in order to service the lower kingdoms?
The energy that's provided to it?
It works through the chakras. It works through the chakras. Okay? So,
What do you mean by the Tattvic universe? I mean, it works through the respective realms?
yeah, the same way the Tattvic kingdom works through your chakras. The Tattvic kingdom works through all of our chakras, but it's more prevalent in the animal kingdom because it's almost a supplement for their self-consciousness. In other words, their instinct. You understand? You have 360 what in the body? No, you don't have 360 what? That runs through the chakras. No. Y'all don't know this? The Tattvic rays. What is the Tattvic rays? Anyone?
Building blocks for
Huh?
the building blocks.
Energies of the
It's what? The Tattvic rays are essentially, he describes it in here as what? Anyone knows since you just read that? No. Modes of what? Motion. That's how he described the Tattvic rays. But he goes on, he keeps repeating that. I guess it was understood, but he has a very analytical and brain. And just being a lawyer and a judge, I guess. But actually what he was saying is that, and what is understood, that the Tattvic rays are patterns of Shakti energies or Shakti forces. He don't like to say forces with Shakti. Or you can say energies. I like to say Shaktis because why? Because Shakti is what? Shakti is mind, energy, right? It's the bhutas, energy. It's the pranas, right? is the nata. Shakti is all of this. See? No. So what the Tattvic rays are, they give the patterns to the modes, to the to the projected energy coming from the sun. They're actually the patterns. They make up the patterns of that Shakti, meaning that what? That they form what? I told y'all this a million times. They form what? Well, all of this energy, they form what? They the gunas too. This is, you can put that here too. They form the realms of existence. See? Every ray is a realm of existence. Every ray is a realm of existence. Okay? So that's what the Tattvic rays. Also, every ray is also what? Also represents what? No one knows? A diva. You essentially have 360 divas working through your body. Every ray is a diva. Okay? Because these patterns have to be built by what? By the Divic kingdom. Because why? The Divic kingdom takes what? All of your all the energy that you and the Mahabindus, the sun, the moon, and the planets, right? They manipulate all this energy. The divas take the energy and build the necessary lessons that you need to learn. All right? This earth is a classroom. And the patterns, the atmosphere of this earth was built from what? From the manas of what? Of us. Right? Because you have mind, the universal mind was this chitta, right? When it comes into contact with man, it becomes what? Manas. And the divas take this energy from us, from the animal kingdom, from everywhere. And it produces the necessary environment so that we can learn and gain necessary experience in. Yeah.
Could motion be defined as a type of conscious expression or a form of consciousness?
It is. Motion is what? Dr. King described motion as what? You don't remember? Huh? Well, it's sort of mind, yeah. But he says divine will imposes those conditions. What? You remember the saying?
Set into motion a framework.
Divine will imposes those conditions upon what? Mind, which does what?
Set into motion.
In a time frame of length, breadth, and height, right? So divine will manifests itself as what? As motion. It's motion. Because why? Divine will has what within it? It has predetermined. It has predetermined a goal for that energy or that Shakti power to go down in a framework of what? Of what? Of karma, right? Using what? The 7 dimensions. So he was correct in describing this as modes of, I think he used this type of modes. I don't know. No, it was this type of, as modes of motion. You'll see it in there. Go back and read it.
I see it.
Yeah, that's how he described it. So that's what he was trying to say.
So modes of motion could be like, I don't know, it's expressions of will.
Yes.
Each Tattvic ray is an expression.
Yeah, because why? It was produced from what? This great God called the sun. And it was pushed out as a divine will from God. Okay?
So that 360, that's universal or it's relative to this?
Well, as far as we know, is universal, but the 360 is used for us. It might be lessened somewhere else. Now you notice when it hits the body, it breaks itself up into what? Into 7 parts, right? Right?
Yes.
It breaks itself up not into 7, into 6. Into six groups. Or 6 parts, let's say that. It breaks itself up into 6 parts. And then into 3 groups. You seen that in the book? The Tattvic rays, yeah. It breaks itself up into 6 parts and 6 unequal parts, and it centralizes itself in all 6 chakras from the base to the Christ center, right? And then it breaks itself up into a Agni group, which represents the earth, and then a Vishnu group, which represents the sun, and then a Tantra group, which represents the moon. And you have the Agni group, which represents the inner fire of the Mother Earth, the locus of the earth, and you have the Vishnu group that represents the creative, transferring power of the sun, and then you have the Tantra group, which represents the mental world, which is created by the moon. So, and all of that creates the realms of existence in which we live in. Those groups, those 3 groups, which in the body, they are recognized as conversion points in the body, and granting knots are the major granting knots that needs to be untied in order to move up the ladder of evolution. Any other questions?
That's why that lady, their prophet, was so wrong in that book.
About what?
I remember I showed you a long time ago, it was a book on the rays. She was describing how each ray was assigned to like a person, to a continent. It was just so wrong.
I don't know what she was talking about, the Tattvic rays. You know, they just go all off, you know, when Ramapresa brought that information to the West, they just exploded on it. Although Madame Blavatsky talked about it some almost 30-some years before Ramapresa brought it out in a more simplified fashion, but they just went crazy with it. And I mean, they started calling everything a ray. So, which a lot of them got it right, but a lot of them helped to confuse the situation.
Maybe this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
He's talking about the gunas. Page 52. So the first is Sakta guna, the function of which, relative to to the other gunas is to reveal consciousness. The greater the presence or power of Sattva guna, the greater the approach to the condition of pure consciousness. Similarly, the function of Tamas guna is to suppress or veil consciousness. The function of Rajas guna is to make active. That is, it works on Tamas to suppress Sattva, or on Sattva to suppress Tamas. And then she goes later on page 53, this Prakriti exists in two states, in one of which, so far as any effect is concerned, she is quiescent. The gunas are then in stable equilibrium and not affecting one another. There is no manifestation. Thus, in the unmanifest, avyakta, the potentiality of natural power, when, however, owing to the ripening of karma, the time for creation takes place, there is a stirring of the gunas and the initial vibration, known in the mantra sastra as cosmic sound, sabda brahman. The gunas affect one another, and the universe made of these three gunas is created. The products of Prakriti thus evolve are called Vikara or Vikrati.
So, go ahead.
So my question is that, in the absolute prior to, I know it's not prior to creation, the three gunas exist in balance, not working on another. But the act of creation then, Rajas is what's used to form, to bring form out of Tamas. Because Rajas is the one that makes active, and Tamas is the grosser of the three. Am I understand that correct?
No, not necessarily. I mean, in other words, they describe all this so that you can understand it, right? But neither work by itself. I think he'll go on to tell you that later on. Now, let's look at gunas, right? What's the meaning you get out of that? Or anyone get out of it?
Their qualities, also like a type of consciousness.
Yeah. The qualities of what? Of consciousness. Of mind, right? They're states of mind. Right. Now, you cannot have a pure negative state without having a positive state somewhere nearby, right? It doesn't work. See, you can't separate it. It's only separated in order to convey to us the different ingredients that it takes in order to produce it, in other words. So if you have an inert type state of mind, which is tamas, right? Then what does that tell you? That the sattvic state has went what? Has went dormant, right? And the state that will power the inert state is what? Right? So Rogers is working through that in order to create that movement and that emotion of that inert dog type, animalistic type state. So you can't have one without the other. Now, as you move up, everything becomes more what? Right. And to the point where what happens? Tamas, Rajas, is absorbed back into what? And then after a while you have what? Only the potential of all three. You see? Because the higher you become, everything goes into a state of potential. Because why? You're working really above consciousness. Remember what consciousness is. Consciousness is a what? It's a limitation. All right? When someone say a consciousness, the first thing you think about is a point, a location, a individual, a personality, you know? So that it limits things. But as you grow above consciousness, you know, and your presence is felt everywhere, you know. So that's, I think that's what he's trying to say there. But later on, he goes into it and try to explain a little better.
He also says that going along with that, it's impossible to reveal. Okay, it's impossible to reveal Shakti through the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
To see Shakti through the eyes, because the act of revealing through the eyes is working through consciousness.
The act of what?
Revealing or seeing, or say like he's differentiating between physical matter that we experiment with
Mm-hmm.
and pure Sakti
Mm-hmm.
matter. He said that cannot be observed or cannot in the same way that we observe physical matter, because we're do that, we're working through consciousness. That's is above consciousness, like the act of revealing, observing through consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, to a certain extent, but you have to remember this right here. Everything is what? Shakti. So you see Shakti every day. Do you realize you see Shakti? And you see Shakti in so many different levels and degrees and whatever. Okay, anything else?
We'll go by chapter. Chapter 3. Body consciousness. In the body, there are the supreme Shiva Sakti who pervades all things. In the body is Prakriti Shakti and all her products. In fact, the body is a vast magazine of power, Sakti. The object of Tantric rituals is to raise these various forms of power to their full expression. This is the work of sadhana. The Tantras say that it is in the power of man to accomplish all he wishes if he centers his will thereon. And this must, according to the doctrine, be so for man in his essence, one with the Supreme Lord, Ishvara, and Mother, Ishvari. And the more he manifests spirit, the greater he is endowed with his powers. The center and root of all his powers as Jiva is Kundalini Sakti. The center in which the quiescent consciousness is realized is the upper brain, or Sahasrara. Whence, in the case of the yogi, the prana escapes through the fissure called Rama Brahma Andra, is that right? At the
What page? You didn't say what
sorry,
page was that.
50. The mind and body as effects of vibration. That's 51 is both having the same origin, each as such, whether as mind or matter, are material things, that is, they are of the nature of forces and limited instruments through which spirit and conscious functions. And thus, though itself unlimited, appears to be limited. The light in a lantern is unaffected, but its manifestation to those without is affected by the material through which the light shines. Prakriti, however, is not scientific matter. The latter is only its grossest product, and has such no lasting experience. Prakriti is the ultimate material, cause of both mind and matter, and the whole universe which they compose. It is the mysterious fructescent womb, yoni, whence all is born. What she is in herself cannot be realized. She is only known by her effects.
So what's the question?
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier when I was trying to say material. That was when saying what she is cannot be realized. That's what I was referring to. She's only known by her effects.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I agree with that, but don't get caught up in the ancient. A lot. They pull on a lot of ancient stuff, which is good, but we've been given more. What you call them now? Spell it is what? It's PR.
Prakriti. But I think it's Prakriti.
But yeah, that's it. Okay, you know what this means, right?
Is it illusion?
It's like
Hmm?
divine love.
Okay. Now, what do we call nature? Huh? How do we describe nature?
Manifestation.
We say that nature take care of what?
Everything.
Huh? When we talk about the lower kingdoms,
All the divas.
we say nature take care of
The animals.
the animals, right? So this is that mysterious power that he's talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's nature, and we understand nature to be all right. So essentially, when I was reading that, that's what I understood him to talk about. In other words, we don't know why God put us on this road. In other words, we don't know why God decided to involve itself, but God did. So
So that question then, or the answer to that question then means cannot be revealed?
huh?
Is the answer to that question that
Yeah.
cannot be revealed?
Yeah. So, and then you got to remember, he was writing this in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote most of this, I believe, in the early 1900s or early 1800s. It was published in 1919.
Mm-hmm.
But was that the first publishing? We don't know. I mean, because he was a legal scholar in India. He was a British legal scholar in India. He was a lawyer, and he had his practice in India. And he was a judge in India. But he was educated by some swamis. I mean, he went all over the place in saying this, so there's a lot of points to this. So is there any other?
Not that I have for that.
Do everybody know what chapter we're referring to? It was, huh? The embodied consciousness, yeah. It's just chapter 3 of Serpent Power. Did everybody get a chance to read it?
I haven't finished it.
Okay. It's 33, what is, it's 33 or 34 pages? It's like 34 pages. Yeah, that's 34 pages. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but all of y'all, if I go over the whole embodied consciousness again, I mean, I done went over that 1,000 times. So I didn't want to bore you by going back over it again. But that's why I said,
Easier to read this time.
huh?
It's a lot easier to read this time.
Yeah. That's why I was asking for questions, so if you ran across something you didn't understand, I can shed some light on it. Is that it?
Simple power, yeah. For me.
I think in here too, he goes into the five minor and the five major pranas, if you all want to. If none of you, I know I had one student tell me that she had never seen that, so. That was years ago, But here it's written in a book. It was written way back in the 1800s. I think he talks about it on page 77, 78, in that same chapter. He talks about the Mahabhutas as well. He talks about the Tamantras, the five Tamantras and the Bhutas. And then he goes into the five major pranas from page 70, I think it's from page 70 to, and going forward to 78, 79. To 78 really, because then at 79 he goes into the the walking, dreaming, and dreamless states. Then he finished off with the Java, which is the connecting everything to the embodied consciousness.
Any questions for your response for it?
Go ahead.
This is on page 82, second to last paragraph. Let your mathematicians play about with their three-dimensional formulas. You stick to your six-dimensional beliefs and have your nine-dimensional faith, and you will see the 25-dimensional power work out. Does that help you?
What page is that?
Page 82.
What chapter?
Planetary policy.
We're not even there yet.
Okay.
Are we there yet?
Two chapters. Last class. Last one. Education on Venus was the last chapter. Yeah, and the guy was here in a random class, maybe he didn't understand the question.
Oh yeah, we are here. Now what page?
Page 82.
That's an answer to someone asked a question?
Before questions, the questions start right after that.
What was the question though?
What was my
That
question?
happens afterwards, or?
No, this is the, I guess, introduction. The questions come after that. That was the last paragraph of his, where he
Well,
started.
I'm saying what brought him to saying that? He doesn't
Talk
say.
about the political system and basic conditions on Earth. Before that, he was talking about how people nowadays approached. Some people have either disbelief or they mock the fact that they're interplanetary intelligences. And they're saying kind of keep the faith type of thing, and eventually you'll be rewarded for your effort.
She was saying the scientists have gained information about them in a very vague, mathematical kind of way. But he's not relying on the scientists, they're relying on mystics and occultists and writers and so on.
Go back to page 81 and read from there. Go back to please note.
Please note, even some of the suns are referred to as planets. Because if I use the word sun, terrestrials immediately think of something which has an interior temperature of 40 million degrees and is totally unapproachable, which of course is not so. Even some which do have an interior temperature of 40 million degrees are just as pleasant to inhabit as Venus in a different body. These younger planets create more of our problems, which we solve to the best of our ability. Just as we have offered to help you, our job is to solve the problems of those people who need us. The very fact that they have problems proves that they need certain help. I had a question about that too. It is obvious, of course, that the actual work of salvation must be undertaken by each individual personally. But there has been an allowance made in the divine law for you to be guided in this vital respect. The Master Jesus was resident on Venus, and the Lord Krishna and Buddha, Sankachara, and Master Sapta and Fourth Sap, the last two you may not have heard of as they worked very quietly, were interplanetary beings who came to give you help. This was not outside the divine plan, but was contained within it. In other words, you have been helped to overcome your difficulties, your own karma, which you have built up for yourself over previous generations, has to be adjusted by you. But it is not governed by such a cold, heartless law as you think. It has mercy within it. Do you want me to read into the mic?
Go ahead.
That mercy is shown by the fact that you have had great masters upon terror in the past, that you will surely have another master in the future to advise you, to help you, to flood the world with his spiritual vibrations, to throw light into the darkest corners of your own ignorance. These lights are a living proof that there is mercy, there is love, there is hope, and even for the most base of all life. We are approaching you slowly, gently, subtly, but surely. If you would go out and tell people that you have heard a telepathic broadcast from a member of Interplanetary Parliament and that being stressed the fact that he comes with love and has offered practical help, that will do you very much good. You see, a lot of your scientists have gained certain information about us in a very vague mathematical kind of way. But it is not your scientists that we are relying upon, it is you. It is your mystics, your occultists, your press, your writers we are relying upon. Make no doubt about this, in the near future you will notice a great swing take place in your press. Those very people who, a few months ago, would have laughed at any mention of communication from interplanetary intelligences will change their opinions. These are the people, these are the sources we are using. We are using very many more sources which cannot be divulged at the present moment. Have faith and courage, and you will not regret it. The time will come when your reward will be great peace and joy. Let your mathematicians play about with their three-dimensional formulas. You stick to your six-dimensional beliefs and have your nine-dimensional faith, and you will see the 25-dimensional power work out. Does that help you?
Okay. I would think that's self-explanatory.
I understand what he's saying. I didn't quite get the 25-dimensional power.
Go back to the 9 freedoms in the Saturnine existence and the solar existence.
Are able to live on several thousand years?
Well, your mic on?
Say that again?
They say they can't hear you.
Oh, the mic is on. I was saying, because when I'm reading, they can't hear me.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a mic there.
No, it turns off to use that.
Oh.
So when he says earlier, the very fact that they have problems proves that they need certain help. Meaning that you haven't properly predetermined your action.
Yeah.
The noise.
Huh?
The noise.
Yeah. It's creating that domino effect. Where you're affecting all life around you, you're creating that ripple. Because why? You haven't predetermined your actions. So it's like the Buddhists, I can't remember the exact Sanskrit name they use, but they actually have a name where, they described it with a Sanskrit name, which is really unique the way they do it. I can't remember, I can't recall it. I gave it to you all one time, that one action creates a million actions to correct the one action. And then the problem with us is that we create the one action that's messed up, then we create 10,000 more, which can calculate to be 10,000 times a million. So we go through all these lifetimes trying to correct them. And that's a problem. So that's why we work within the laws of karma and not rely on our basic free will. Then we'll have freedom from all this varieties, all the modifications. But we cause the modifications.
It goes back to what they're saying in an earlier chapter about hurricanes and meteorological difficulties that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes on to say we cannot trespass upon those grounds which are closed to us. The choice is yours. So that's just demonstrating what you just told us about both the divas and about predetermining your actions.
Mm-hmm.
We create our experiences through our own manas.
Yeah.
We need to experience famine, hurricanes, and
One of the questions he's asked is that basically, if we get rid of all of our atomic weapons, how we protect ourselves in case of war?
I was just reading that.
Yeah. I read that.
On page 84, on page 84 earlier, he says, England is one of the chosen spiritual centers of the world. Believe it or not, nothing will destroy that. So it has been declared by the ancient ones. It will be so. Nothing can alter that. I wonder if I think I've asked this before, and you answered before. But have other places been declared spiritual centers
Mm-hmm.
and made public, like this?
Yeah.
What are those places? Or can I guess and you say yes or no?
I'll tell you later.
And then finally, he says, if you believe in the truth, you cannot possibly be conquered by anything or anyone. One man can guarantee the freedom of this or any other country. It matters not whether he is killed or chopped to pieces. The question is, does he literally mean one person by? Well, the first person that came to mind was Adept
Mm-hmm.
when he was saying that. But I was also thinking a non-cosmically trained adept could one person, or how would that work out? It's one person who guaranteed the freedom of this or another country, whether or not.
I mean, that's just, don't think too much in the clouds. I mean, that can happen with if you stand by truth, truth is. You know, it's just truth is. See, the thing about it, you know, we think about life and death too much, and the physical realm too much. If you have someone live their life for a particular truth, and they willing to risk everything for that, you know, their actions will live on. And one body doesn't express who they are. They move on to another vehicle still expressing that same thing. And if need be, if they need to come back to the physical plane 100 lifetimes to make it last or spread it around the whole world, then that's what will happen if they truly stand to that. But we look at things as in one lifetime or have to be something physical. But most things that take off and become a reality, it really happens on the mental world. You know, and everybody began to accept those things. You know, it's just like personal freedom. A person's personal freedom or personal right to do something. That's experienced through what? Through the laws that we allow to govern ourselves by, right? So that's on a mental level. And it begins to restrict our actions. It begins to mold and shape our actions and mold and shape the way we look at things. So that's not so unbelievable, So I think that's what he's trying to say there. And most of us to the level, we think that we can't exist without war machines. We feel that we must have the war machines. But, so, it have to be a period of purification. It might even have to be a period of sacrifice. Because we know this, because we can go in history and we can look and see that when people change their mind about certain things and they begin to live a certain life, they have to go through those periods where, like when they, when they renunciate, they say, okay, I'm giving up all these things. They have to go through levels of sacrifice and levels of suffering that they brought about on themselves, only because it's states of mind, until they reach that pure state that they want to be, and then you notice that they calm out. So if you imagine if you have 1 billion people going through that, you're gonna have have to be some type of sacrifice, but at one point it's going to level off, and then nothing will be able to touch them because of their state of mind, because of their level of consciousness.
Different people are experiencing life at different levels. So if, and they, everyone has their own karmic patterns, they may not be able to understand the teachings or something, to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
So does it have to be that the general, it has to be like a larger percentage of the population? Does it have to be a smaller few? Like, what would the number have to be in order for that to actually be the Avalon?
Who knows? Who knows? But let's look at it like this. Back in 1872, when Madame Blavatsky took her trip around the world somewhere, it was 1860s, 1870 something. And then she came back and she wrote her books, right? If you go back and look at those books, she declared that there were certain places in the world that mankind could not live. He could not go there and set up these highly populated places. And she said that it was deemed that way back in the days of Atlantis, and some before then, in the days of Lemurius, that mankind would not be able to populate those places in the world. And if he tried, he would just die. He would just, nature would not allow him, right? And only a select group of people would have been able to go and live in those places. And they had to have permission. So when we go around the world, we notice that those areas that they named so many hundreds of thousands of years ago, right? The people who did move there, they seem to be what type of people? Do you know? They seem to be peaceful-minded, no war type people. They have adopted this unbelievable attitude of life, and they have lived there for generations without any war, without anything, under what we would call harsh conditions. But yet they lived there in a pleasant way. So I mean, it's not, what he's saying is not unbelievable. I mean, go back and study those areas. There's no great population there, but you have people who live in a peaceful manner, and then some areas no one have lived there, only animals, So think about that. I mean, just like I was telling you all the other night about the Gobi Desert, right? I mean, you got a desert there that have a snowfall and the ice doesn't melt. I mean, everything seemed to be reversed over there. When they went to go study the area, they had to come up with mathematical reasons why this happened, because it just blew them away. But it's a peaceful place. But we know that, that there on the etheric realms of that place is one of the most powerful places on earth, Any questions online? So I'm not going to be here next week, but if you want to, you can. If you want to, I said no class, but if you guys want to meet, you can go over this PowerPoint we did a while back. It's up to you all. I could show it to them and see. Can you see it? You remember this one? We put this together, right? It goes over the whole, I think, the Constitution of Man. You have this one?
Yeah. That's when we were, I was reading from last time, 2000, or 2 Sundays ago.
You don't have it?
You said it a long time ago?
Yeah, I think we did this a long time ago.
No, that should have.
Remember, I actually did this so that you all can go out and teach.
That's probably one of the files that you gave to me off of your computer, right?
I don't know. I think we did it after I gave you all that.
I'm reading from that last class. Someone is asking if you know any good retreats. They want to go to India and study. They would like to go to India, but I don't know of any sacred places to learn and study.
No, I don't. And I think the best way to learn,
Okay,
huh?
can you stop on that photo and then finish saying, because I have a question regarding.
Which one?
This photo right here on the upper right-hand corner. But I want you to finish your statement, that's the best way to study.
No, I'm saying the best way is to study and practice a certain, like, we have a lot of teachers. We have Sivananda, we have Swami Vivekananda, we have the Yogi Ramacharaka books, which is William Walker Atkinson. We have the Their Society teachings. We have Anna Bassan, Alice Bailey. All of these are good teachers to study under, you know. And, you know, when the time is right, if you need a personal teacher, that personal teacher will appear before you. But I think so many people make a mistake to say they got to go to India when you really don't. Because India have came to us through many, many adepts and masters who have came and wrote volumes of information that really has been preserved by their disciples. You had a question, sir?
I had noticed that many Sanskrit, like renderings or pictures, not really pictures, but drawings, we should say, of Buddha, has these layers on the top of the head.
Mm-hmm. That represents the 1,000 petals of that lotus.
But is there what is the terminology for that? There's not really a specific word, it's just,
What you mean the terminology?
okay, so we have, we refer to the Nadi system, the this, the that.
Uh-huh.
What, is there a reference or?
That's the
terminology?
chakra. That's the crown chakra.
So that's the only way that it can be referenced?
Yeah, it's a
In that manner, okay.
it's a crown chakra. It's and it's a what you call it, a mala
Okay.
or a yantra that represents. It's a symbol that represents that particular chakra, and I don't know. I really, be honest with you, I haven't seen one that actually give all the sounds to it, but they say that symbol represents all the sounds or the tattvas of the sun, right? But it's not. I think the only thing that's really given out that's given out publicly is that there's 12 chakras within that one chakra. There's actually 12 chakras that's listed, that's named inside the crown chakra. And they say those 12 chakras make up those known 12 chakras help make up the crown chakra, and the 1,000 lotus. It's really 900 and some lotus, but they round it off to 1,000. Just like in the Antra, the third eye or the Christ chakra, there's actually 3 chakras that make up the one chakra. Mm-hmm. So I think there's like 104 pages here. You won't get through it, but if you all want to meet next week.
I'm not sure. I might be in New York next weekend.
Yeah, I'm going out of town too, so that's why I said I'm not going to be here. So if there's no other questions, then we can resume on the 15th. On the 15th, then we can go. If y'all, read. If not, then I go through this, and then we have another one called the Serpent Power. I'll go through that as well.
Was that the one I was reading from?
I don't know. This one's not done, but it has 20-some
I think
pages.
it was that one.
You're reading for that, the last one?
Oh, we were editing that one.
Well, we edited this, yeah. And this, we can use this to go through as well.
Next week is the 8th.
Yeah. I don't think, did we finish this?
No, I was reading through it. We got to the solar plexus.
Does it look bright up there? It looks bright over here. I guess this is a better monitor. It's dull up there, huh? Or maybe it's because of the light. Still dull. Yeah, we didn't finish this one. Any other questions from you?